I'm Dom, the BCBA mom, and welcome to my channel. Bienvenido to my channel.
I'm Dominique, a Board Certified Behavior Analyst. I'm well versed in applying ABA to our everyday parenting lifestyles, and I'm a mother. More specifically, I'm a mother of a child with autism. And if you're a parent of a child with special needs, or you're just here to get some positive parenting tips, you're in the right place.
Last time we did a brief introduction on positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement, and how do we apply that to our children for behavior change.
And for our new viewers, just a recap. Positive reinforcement or reinforcement is just a reward or something that someone is willing to work for. And this reward is a really powerful tool for behavior change. So now that you're all caught up, let's get to this week.
This week, we'll discuss systematic ways on how to effectively apply reinforcement. That's right, there is a system to doing this. Can't be just applying reinforcement all willy-nilly.
There's levels to this, okay? And we are going to get into that right now.
So this is beneficial because there are some side effects that you will see if you don't implement reinforcement the right way. One thing you can do is you can reinforce the wrong behavior, and then all of a sudden you're seeing more of something you don't want to see. You can use a reinforcement that's just not working. I mean, there's just a lot of pieces to this puzzle. So keep watching because I'm going to give you 5 ways to effectively apply reinforcement so that it works. We just don't want to do this. Like, who has time to do something if it's not going to work, right?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Number 1. You want to make sure that the reinforcer is valuable, and you want to make sure you maintain its value. So what I mean by this is you want a really good reinforcer. You want something that that child really wants and will pretty much do anything to have access to. Can you think of a few things that your kids just really value? I know for my son, he really loves the iPad.
This is defined as uninterrupted access to all applications on the iPad for 30 minutes.
Side note, it's really important that you define what access to the reinforcement looks like. So if my son thinks he's getting the iPad to just have free reign with it, you know, he can get on YouTube, I'm not bothering him or whatever, my definition of access to the iPad is you have access to PBS Kids app and that's it. And I'm going to interrupt you in 2 minutes to take out the trash. So that is 2 different ideas of what access to that reinforcement looks like. And when that step isn't communicated, you can actually see more behaviors arise during that time where you have access to that reinforcer. Operationally defining what it is that you need. So I mentioned before that my son is highly motivated by access to the iPad.
Request my chariot, get ya. The doors open.
But as we all know, children and ourselves, our reinforcers are dynamic and they change from day to day. For example, in the morning, first thing in the morning, my behavior is really reinforced by coffee. Like I'll do almost anything for a cup of coffee. But by my 2nd or 3rd cup, around 10 o'clock, if someone says, hey Dominique, give me a ride, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. And I'm like, I've already had 3 cups of coffee. Why do I need your coffee? You know, I'm not willing to work for it. It is no longer a reinforcer. So with our children, it's really important to maintain the value, and you can do this through deprivation. So one way to do this is to only make that reinforcer available contingent on completing the desired task. So in other words, that just means my son doesn't have access to the iPad in the morning before school. He doesn't have it on the way to school. He doesn't have it after school. He doesn't have it on the weekends unless it's linked with him completing the desired behavior, which for us is homework. So if I did give him access to the iPad right before homework time or all day during the day, in the morning, in the car, then it wouldn't be as valuable because he's like, yeah, I already played my favorite games. I already checked in with all of my friends. I'm not willing to work for that anymore. It's no longer a reinforcer. And then you gotta go back into your bag and think, well, now what can I get him to work for? No, you can maintain the value of a really preferred item or preferred activity through deprivation or limiting that access unless it's contingent on that behavior. That's one way to do it. Many ways to keep the value of a reinforcer. Another way is to change the reinforcer. Nobody wants to always work for coffee, but if someone says, hey, can you give me a ride? I'll give you a donut. I like donuts. Now I'm more motivated to give you a ride because you tapped into something that I'm motivated by in the moment. Keyword,
in the moment.
That's another good tip. I didn't think about that. Reinforcers change moment to moment. Remember that. Number two. I've always wanted to do that. From Austin Powers. Number two. Anyway, number two. The reinforcer should be applied immediately. If you want reinforcement to be effective and you want it to actually work, it has to be applied immediately. So if we're targeting eating, eating new foods, and you say, hey, Bobby, if you finish all of the carrots on your plate, you're gonna have ice cream after dinner. I'm gonna take you out for ice cream. And he's like, that's so cool. And then he gobbles up all of his carrots and he's like, I'm ready for my ice cream. And you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna go probably Wednesday, maybe Thursday, whenever I get the time. But thanks for eating your carrots. And you know that's foul. It's messed up. In order for reinforcement to be effective and in order for us to continue to have trust with our kids, we have to say what we mean and mean what we say. When we say that you'll have access to this reinforcer after you completed the desired behavior, it should be immediately afterward. Now, I know, I get it. Like I said, I'm a mom, I'm practical. I know that we can't always immediately grant the wish of our children. And if that's the case, try not to use a reinforcer that you don't have immediate access to. In some situations, you can practice delayed gratification. And basically just tell the child when they will have access to it. But you have to say that up front. Hey, if you finish this on Wednesday, we'll go out for ice cream. With some kiddos, that's okay. They can wait. And with some kiddos, they need the reminder of what they're working for. And when you need an extra prompt, you can use something like a token economy. And the tokens is something that you can give them on a daily basis or contingent on each behavior. And after they've earned a certain number of tokens, then they can have access to that big reinforcer. You want to see it? Here it goes. Okay, so let's say you can't make it to McDonald's or get the huge McDonald's reinforcer until Friday, but you still want the kiddo to know that he can contact some type of reinforcer and remind him of what he's working on. So you say, oh, you ate all your carrots on Monday.
You got a star. Oh, Tuesday too, you get a star. Oh, 2 more days. Oh, you ate it on Wednesday, you get a star. 1 more day, look at all the stars that you're earning. Oh, you get another star. And on Friday, you get your McDonald's reinforcer.
I know, I'm not the best artist, but that's just one example. Like, I have tons of this stuff, okay? And I was only able to get through the first 2, but come back for part 2 and we will get into the last 3 of the most effective ways to implement reinforcement to see behavior change, okay? So be sure to come back. But before you leave, be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on the next session, and like this video, share it if you're there. I know you're there, and I will see you next time. If you are in search of a BCBA for a personal assessment or evaluation, please visit Beyond ABA LLC. I will link the website below, and you can get all of the information you need, all of the information that you desire. I'll see you next time.